as you saw, Mercy has a 13-0 lead, under a minute left in the first half. Reineker's kickoff, it bounces to 22, Jamie Fifield. Looks for some running room, and he's tackled by Greg Cook, number 87, before he can get going.
And we should say that on that touchdown play, Vols actually threw the ball from about his own 38, 39-yard line into the corner of the end zone, and it was a good 45 to 50-yard throw in the air. And although defensive coaches tell their players that certain quarterbacks have the strength of arm to reach that far, a lot of times when the players are going back, drifting back on defense, they don't really believe it until the ball's up in the air, and there it is.
Well, Ruprecht certainly had the defense be in that plays. He had time. He had to wait for that ball in the end zone to come down to catch it. He didn't have to catch it on the run. First down for the Porters. And they take a timeout after that run by Strickland off the right side. I think I'm going to call them Porters Clippers, Colin, for the remainder of the game, just so I can have myself covered both ways here. They do take a timeout as we are under a minute to play here in the first half. I would say we'd have to look for some kind of pass play here, Colin, as it would be real tough for a run to break for that much yardage, even if you're not looking for it.
I wouldn't think that Greenport would have called timeout just to run the ball here, so I would think they're going to be passing.
20 seconds. So 51 seconds.
You see Coach Antonucci coming off the field after talking to his team during that timeout, and you see on the far side of the field Greenport coach Sal Vindigni coming off the field after talking to his players,
20 seconds.
outlaying what they're going to do in these last few seconds.
Toss pass, there it is.
Pitch out. Going to be a pass, but it gets away. Let's see what happens. If it's going to be a fumble or a pass. That was Bill Carr trying to throw that pass, Colin, and the ball appeared to just squirt out of his hand as he looked downfield to throw that. And they're calling it a fumble, apparently, and it was recovered by Greenport.
That might have been a good play by Carter early in the game, not throwing the ball, but now there was only, yeah, there it is at the half. He should have just let it go anyway. Wouldn't have hurt if been intercepted, but
yeah, it appeared it just slipped out of his hand, but as you mentioned, we have come to halftime here. And this is Dimension Cable's high school football game of the week on Channel 25. We have come to halftime of our telecast with the score, Mercy 13, Greenport Southold Manatuck nothing. We'll be back with more right after this. For a little bit of the halftime show, as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, this is Mercy's homecoming game. Somewhat unusual to have it at night, but Mercy sometimes does that. It all depends on if they have any night games scheduled that year. I'm going to be able to watch here as the different class floats come out and parade around the field. And I am proud to say at this point in time that I am a graduate of this fine institution, Mercy High School, having spent probably four of my better years of my youth here. And I won't even tell you how long ago that was. And homecoming was certainly a nice occasion, as it is in any school. Each class gets to spend time on their floats, and they get judged accordingly. And of course there's the homecoming dance as well, which certainly we can all relate to that as having been hopefully a pleasant experience.
Could we get one of the cheerleaders?
So you can see on the far side of the field, the floats are all ready to make their way onto the field here. and show off all their work to the fans. You can see down here in front of us on the field, the Mercy High School cheerleaders are forming into, it looks like the letter M or two M's. I don't know if we can get a wide enough shot to get it all in, but take my word for it. And here's a little bit of nimble footwork by the cheerleaders to the strains of Hangin' Tough by New Kids on the Block, one of the more popular groups. And I hope they send me something for plugging them. Okay, they get a nice round of applause. You can tell they're real happy to be done with that as they're jumping all over the place.
Could we get one of the cheerleaders to take those headphones off the field so we don't get run over? Thank you.
And momentarily, as you can see, the floats are making their way around the field as we pan to show you them down the far goalpost to our left.
We're about to hit my own post.
We may have a little bit of a post in the way up here possibly, but we'll work around it as best we can. Certainly a very pleasant evening here at Mercy. Temperatures in the 50s. Very nice evening to play football on. And certainly with some of the crazy weather we've had lately, the potential was that we could have very well had some very cold weather.
I'm going to try to get these guys coming right in front of me.
But as it turns out, to our benefit, we have a nice weather day, nice weather evening tonight. And here comes our first contestant. Maybe you at home could play a little judge yourself and look at these floats and decide who you would have chosen as the best float. I can only guess that this is probably the freshman float. And you can see they have some Halloween people in there already getting a little early jump on the season. And that one wasn't too bad.
Our next float coming up is a class of 92.
And here comes the sophomore float. I'm not sure exactly the theme of this one, if it has a theme, but certainly it has a lot of people on it. Yes, you know, everywhere I go that happens. People see me and they just go crazy like that. They start cheering and stuff, and it's amazing. I wish I could say that and meant it, but here's the junior float. Some nice balloons coming out. There's a little variation on the three pigs. As you can see, two of them popped out of their house. You can see the big bad wolf in the front there. And that's a nicely done one. And if you can't read what it says the Monarchs are going to blow you away. spirited crowd here at Mercy as they're enjoying the halftime festivities. We have a score of Mercy 13, Greenport nothing. And right now we are checking out some of the homecoming floats that the students of each class have put together. They're all stopped now, I believe, as they are doing some judging. We probably won't be able to get you a good camera shot of the senior float for a few more moments, so it moves more in camera range. But as we've seen, the freshman float, sophomore float, and junior float, and the senior float, each vying for the attention of the judges, hoping that their float will be the one chosen as the best. We hope you at home are making some decisions of your own. Unfortunately, you probably can't see the senior float too well, but you will as soon as they move along here. It's a tough choice. I'm taking a few notes here myself, but usually tradition was that the senior float would be the one to be chosen the best one, unless it was clearly inferior to one of the other classes, just so it would keep sort of the class pecking order, as often happens in high school. The judges are looking over these floats. They are going to start moving on now, and you'll get to see the senior float as it comes by here, and then you'll be able to make up your own mind, and when they decide who it is, we will let you know during the second half of play. Here comes the senior float. As you can see the inscription on the front, C5 Faux Fa, Mercy Monarchs are #1. Yes, it even rhymes. Seems like we have a little bit of a theme here with the Giant and Jack and the Beanstalk and that whole thing. Decked out in the green and gold school colors of the Monarchs. Everybody here on the Mercy side pretty much in a jovial mood at the moment, with the Monarchs holding a 13-0 lead. Ah yes, brings back memories to me. I don't know about you at home, but unfortunately on my homecoming float, they would always throw me off it, though. I never was on it for too long, but on the floats, winning, as you can tell by their reaction, are the juniors in what I would say a bit of an upset. I don't know how you at home felt about it, but the juniors pulling off the upset as their float is judged the best in show here at Mercy. Second place did go to the seniors float, and I'm sure they will get together with the juniors later on tonight and discuss that in more detail. And in third place was the sophomore float, and in first place was the freshman float. So there you have some halftime activities here for Mercy as the Monarchs are having their homecoming game. And if they can make their way off the field in just a little bit, we'll have the second half of play upcoming. High School just moments before the second half kickoff. This is Dimension Cable's High School Football Game of the Week, coming to you over Channel 25, Peconic Bay Television. I am Ed Zabrowski, here with Colin Gratton. Our halftime score is Mercy 13, Greenport South Hole Mattuck nothing. And Colin, I guess the Monarchs have the lead right now. They want to win this game, and I'm sure the coaching staff has got them pumped up to come out this second half and not let the Porters back in the game.
Yeah, I believe Mercy, their running game was working well in the first half, and I don't think you'll see them get too risky in the second half here with a 2-touchdown lead. But with the weather being nice, 2-touchdown lead is not completely safe. With the weather we had earlier in the year, the rain and whatnot, 2 touchdowns was a whole lot.
Short kickoff by number 33 for Greenport, Ryan Qualley, I should say. Returned by, that was 14, Chris Pastore, picking up that short kickoff and making a nice return. And the Monarchs are going to take over at their own 41-yard line. We should also mention again that unfortunately the scoreboard here is inoperable, so we're going to have to do our best with the aid of the officials to give you some rough estimate of what time is remaining. First down for the Monarchs. They have number 12, Ed Voles, at quarterback. That's 42, Frank Sammartino, and 28, Jeff Dorosky in the backfield. Handoff is to Dorosky up the middle. He has plenty of room, and he may go the distance. And he will. Mercy, touchdown. Jeff Dorosky, 59-yard touchdown run, Colin. A very similar play to a play they ran in the first half in which Dorosky was falling down most of the time. Perhaps he had a change of shoes at halftime, but he certainly found the hole there, cut it back nicely, and was able to outrace Greenport to the end zone.
Well, Dorosky wasn't really running with that much of authority in the first half. I think Tony Antonucci might have talked to him, because that time it was all guns ahead, and the hole was right there, and Dorosky showed some of his speed there, which he has plenty.
Devereaux with the extra point try, and it is good. So first play from scrimmage in the second half, Colin, and I'm sure if Coach Antonucci couldn't have designed it any better at halftime. They come out, first play from scrimmage, Jeff Dorosky goes speeding off the right side, cuts it back and runs the distance, 59 yards for a Mercy touchdown, putting them up 20-0 over the Porters. And we'll have to see here how the Porters react to that. They certainly had some tough games this season, and particularly tonight, Colin, as we've already mentioned, they're short a few of their better players due to suspension and injury. And it's going to be an emotional battle for them to really keep their heads in this game and not let it get any further out of hand.
Yeah, this is very tough for Greenport. They haven't showed in past experience this season, this their 5th game, that they can put 20 points up on the scoreboard in the matter of about 2 quarters, and they're in a deep hole now.
Certainly all the momentum of the game is in Mercy's favor right now.
Kicking off for the Monarchs is Bruce Reinecker.
Bruce Reinecker kicking off for Mercy. And coming back this way on a hard tackle, that was Derek Strickland returning the ball for the Porters. And he was hit with a hard tackle by Frank Sammartino, number 42 for Mercy. Sammartino delivered a good shot there, Colin. He's not a big player, but he certainly hit like a big player on that one.
Yes, it had to have been very tough for Greenport to have played the first half kind of like they wanted to, and up to about 4 minutes left in the half, have no score, and then Mercy get 2 touchdowns at the end, and went in at the half, and it'd been a fast half like Greenport I think would have wanted, but still was 13-0.
Some shifting by the Porters on the offensive line. Apparently they're going to be penalized as a couple of players on the line jump the snap count, and that will cost them 5 yards.
I guess it's that much more amazing to see the great teams that Greenport put out years and years ago with the small numbers they had, numbers of players, and they had a great tradition, and now the tradition seems to be waning, and they're taking their lumps right now.
Yeah, sometimes these things go in cycles, and sometimes it's hard to turn the cycle or the pendulum back in your favor once it goes down. It was a gain of, I should say, a loss of 2 yards on the play for Greenport. It's going to be 2nd and 12. Everett Corwin, number 7 at quarterback. 24, Bill Card in the backfield, along with 34, Derek Strickland, who was tackled after a short gain.
Right now, like we said, Greenport seems dejected, and their offensive line is not really getting that good push off the ball.
It was Demetrius Bronskill on the tackle for the Monarchs, and he has played a good defensive game for them so far tonight.
Brunskill is only a sophomore, as is Greg Dorosky.
Certainly players who will, in future years, hopefully be leading this Mercy team. It's going to be 3rd down and 9 for the Porters. Back to pass is Corwin, looking down this near sideline for 14, Sean Conroy, just overthrown.
Pass overthrown.
Looked like a nice pass, Colin. I don't know if Conroy slowed down a little bit or what, but it appeared that might have been a catchable ball.
Why, and Tom Spina saw that play right from the start, and he was coming in from his safety position. I think Conroy sensed that he was going to take a good hit if he caught the ball. Of course, I'm sure what Sal Vendigni will tell him if they see it in the films is you're going to usually take the hit whether you catch it or not. So you might as well catch the ball.
4th down for Greenport. Back to punt is 22, Jamie Fifield. Back for the Monarchs, 87, Greg Cook, and number 1, Tom Spina. Punt is a low one. It touches Cook and picked up by Spina alertly, because that would have been a free ball, I believe, because I'm pretty sure that Cook, it deflected off Cook's leg or something as it went by him, and Spina, with the presence of mind to pick up that ball and try to return it, and he did for about 7 or 8 yards back to his own 46-yard line.
They had undershifted in the last series, undershifted to 47.
Well, it's going to be hard for them to top what they did on their last possession, Colin, as they ran the first play 59 yards for a touchdown. Their Porters would like to make a defensive stand here and turn a little bit of the momentum back in their favor. Handoff to Dorosky off the right side. Foul, some nice blocking, and he has about 9 yards. Going to be close to a 1st down. Let's see where they mark the ball.
See, Dorosky is running with abandon here in the second half. I don't think you'll see him falling down too much like he did in the first half. And mostly in the first half, it was just him losing his footing. And I think he became a little bit hesitant. But he's not hesitating here in the second half.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, Colin, if he might have even changed shoes. He might have had some shoes where the spikes were not that long and were not gripping the ground too well. He may have shifted to something with a deeper or a longer cleat to get some better traction. Penalty on Mercy there, as there had some line movement before the snap, which will cost Mercy 5 yards, as the referee, Dan Burns, marks it off. The other officials are Scott Barnes is the linesman, Don Bennett is the field judge, and Doug Gwerke is the umpire. And no, they did not pay me to mention their names again, but nonetheless, there they are. It's going to be second down for Mercy, 2nd and about 6 yards now. Inside handoff to San Martino, but the Porter defense was there on that occasion. That was number 72 for the Porters. who unfortunately isn't on our roster, but I'm sure he probably just has a different number than the one we have on this roster. So we're not going to be able to accurately identify him. 88, David Brigham, was also in on the play.
Ruprecht's out here on the left side all by himself.
Third down, Voles is back, has some rush, decides to run it now. He has a little room, looks for the first down yardage, and he has it. And now a late flag comes in after the play. Could be a face mask on the Porters, but let's wait and see. But apparently, no, they're discussing it with the Porters. It's going to be a holding penalty on Mercy. I jumped the gun there a little bit. Little foot and mouth disease there. Trying to anticipate that call, which shouldn't really have done, but nonetheless, it is a holding penalty on Mercy, which the Porters will take. And let's see when they sort this out where the ball will end up. Because if they don't take the penalty, it's going to be a first down for Mercy, so I'm sure they're going to take the penalty. And it's marched off back to the Greenport 49-yard line. And they're calling that as part of the play as opposed to a dead ball foul, Colin, which would have made it a first down with the penalty coming after the play. But of course, holding penalty occurred right at the tail end of that play, and it's going to make it 3rd and 5 for Mercy. Voles fakes and decides to keep, looks downfield for Cook, throws it all the way down. Corwin with the interception. Everett Corwin had that play diagnosed perfectly, Colin, as he had fine position, nowhere to throw that ball really for Voles. I'm surprised he even threw it because Corwin had the inside position and made the interception.
Well, that time Corwin stayed with his man. He learned from the first half that Voles had the arm strength to reach that far, and the ball seemed to sail a little bit on Voles. It got up there and it just stayed up there for a while.
Well, as it worked out, Colin, probably as good as a punt anyway, as the Porters are going to take over on their own, well, inside their own 10-yard line. Handoff to Strickland off the left side. That was a first down play from the Porters' own 8-yard line. That was Brian Bannon, 51, in on the stop, along with others for the Monarchs.
Another tough thing about Greenport's passing game is Corwin seems to have a good arm, but he's very short, and it's tough for him, unless on a rollout, to be able to see over the lineman.
Corwin on a keeper. I'm not sure if that's the way the play was designed, but he's making the most out of it as he fights his way up the field. Second and third and fourth efforts from Everett Corwin as he powers his way up for a first down, up close to the 35-yard line as he was dragging tacklers along with him. A lot of heart, Everett Corwin. One thing you can say about him, Colin, he's been on this team for 4 years now as a starting quarterback, and they haven't always had the best of teams, and sometimes it makes it tough for all the players to perform up to their capabilities, and Corwin certainly has hung in there as well as anybody could expect.
We remember him as a hard worker on the basketball court, too, for the court.
Yeah, we'll see him in the basketball season, I'm sure, when we start doing basketball games shortly. Unfortunately, Porter's jump on the line, it's going to be 5 yards against them, and it'll cost them. And push him back, it'll make it 1st and 15 from the Clipper 30-yard line. Well, let's make that the Porter 30-yard line. As I was talking to one of the people here at halftime, that Porter is what the team is now called again. So I'll try and stay with that as best I can. Monarchs Monarchs looking for run, shoot through the gaps and hit Strickland in the backfield for a loss.
And so far, Greenport's been able to put together any type of sustained drive. We've had a few big plays. Everett Corwin had a few, but
Second down.
they haven't been able to string any particular first downs together or anything like that.
Second and 15.
So we're in motion to 34. Very good.
Corwin on a blitz, avoids one tackler, but not the second. And he's down for a loss. That was George Resco, number 50, flying in and finally putting the hit on Corwin as he avoided the first tackler, Colin, and spun away, but too much pressure by the Monarchs, resulting in the sack.
Well, that was a play action, and he faked the handoff into the middle, and that fake handoff is supposed to freeze the defenders a little bit, but it didn't seem to. Mercy was in there on that play.
Well, it's third down, and let's call it about 25 for the Porters. And they just hand it up off the middle. Actually, looks like Corwin still has the ball. I don't know if that was a missed handoff, but it certainly did not go for much yardage, and the Porters are going to have to punt.
As we said, Ed, a lot of the Greenport players are going both ways, and with a 20-0 deficit now, their offensive line is just not getting the job done right now.
Jamie Fifield back to punt. Some pressure by the Monarchs. Nearly got some of that ball. Hard to tell. Speeder tries to pick it up, and this time it may have cost him. Let's see. It appears that the Monarchs did recover that. But again, Colin, a low line drive punt, and Tom Spina playing that dangerous game, trying to pick it up on the bounce and had it roll away, but fortunately they were able to recover again.
A lot of the punt returners you see, particularly in high school, Ed, they shy away from the ball if they don't have a clean chance of catching it. And it appears like Spina's the type of player that wants to take advantage of every opportunity he gets.
Yeah, sometimes you get burned that way, but sometimes it's worth the risk. First down for Mercy from their own 46-yard line. I would guess it's towards the end of the third quarter here, as we have no way of knowing what the time of the clock is. San Martino running to the near side, driven out of bounds by 32, John Pultz. Let's call it a gain of about 4 yards for San Martino, making it second and 6-7 yards in that range.
Good play that time by Pulse. The play ran at the line of scrimmage. There was a lot of running room, and he had to fight off the block to get to him, and he stood him up and took him out of bounds.
Monarchs have Mark Ruprecht, 82, split to the wide side of the field. Handoff to Durosky off the right side. Little hesitation as he uses one of his blockers for some additional yardage. And he goes ahead for a first down for the Monarchs.
Again, outstanding blocking that time. Mercy's using both sides of the ball. That time they came around on a sweep to the right side. And Durosky again just seemed to be tripped up. There has been a lot of plays tonight where Durosky's had a lot of open field. Looked like he break a couple of long ones. And he has one long touchdown run.
First and 10 for Mercy from the Greenport 42-yard line. Same play again. Durosky off the right side cuts it back in the middle as he crosses the Greenport 40. Let's call it a gain of 4. It'll be second and 6.
I guess if you have a play that's working pretty successfully, and you use it until they take it away from you.
Come on. Walk back to the hunt. Relay it.
And Dorosky comes off the field for a breather, as it appears he was a little bit shaken up on that last run. Monarchs with two receivers split to this side. But they hand up off the middle. That's 42, Frank Sammartino. And gains a few yards. It'll bring up a third down and about 3 yards to go. Let's call it 2 yards to go. Give them a gain of 3 yards on the play.
Greenport hasn't won a game so far this year. They might end up the season not winning any games, but they have a very young team. A lot of guys on the team still have a lot of years left, and I know Sal Bendigni, their coach, would like to see these kids stay together. He's underclassmen, and a year from now, or maybe 2 years from now, Greenport might be getting back to being competitive, something like the teams they used to have.
All right, we've come to the end of the third quarter of play here for Mercy High School. With the score, Mercy 20, Greenport South Home Mattuck nothing, and we'll be back for the fourth quarter in Mercy High School for the fourth quarter of action. This is the Bench and Cables High School Football Game of the Week, coming to you on Channel 25, Conic Bay Television. I'm Ed Zabrowski here with Colin Gratton. And as we enter the fourth quarter of play, you did miss one run off the right side by Paul Devereaux, which gained first down yardage for the Monarchs, who have a 20-0 lead and pretty much have the game well in control, Colin, here. It's more or less Mercy's game to lose.
Yeah, the Porters have to get a turnover here if they want to make a game of it right off the bat.
Handoff Devereaux off the left side, nice hole, runs through it. Brought down by Derek Strickland, 34. Let's call it a gain of about 6 on the play. It'll be a 2nd and 4 for Mercy. As we were alluding to earlier, Colin, it has been tough for the Porters. They did not win any games last year, though they did have one tie with John Glenn, 14-14. And of course, John Glenn is going to be the League 8 champ this year, which some people feel they shouldn't even be in League 8 this year, but nonetheless, there they are. And it's tough on morale to go week by week without winning. And here could be another touchdown for Mercy. Sammartino goes off the right side for a Mercy touchdown.
There might be a flag.
Okay, well, let's wait and see. The flag is down inside the 10, so it could be some sort of a downfield block, perhaps, Colin, a clip or a hold or something like that. But let's see what the officials decide.
Edward Corwin is down on the field again, Ed, for Greenport.
Yeah, let's hope it's nothing serious. We didn't really see what happened to him. Perhaps he was the person who was blocked, which necessitated the penalty call. We're not sure. As we were mentioning, Colin, with the Porters, it can be increasingly difficult as time goes on in the season to keep your team's morale up, and I'm sure head coach Sal Bendigni, along with assistant Dick Herzog, have had to really work at it. You know, I played myself, I played at Mercy here, but I know we had, at that time, our share of losing seasons, and it does wear on you after a while that you keep being unable to come up with the effort is there, but either you're just not good enough in some respects, or you don't have enough good players, or sometimes just the breaks go against you and you're not able to win too many games. And it can be tough coming in week after week and going to practice, and I'm sure the coaching staff has had their hands full trying to keep the team morale up to a level where they can play at some competitive level.
I'm sure Sal Bendigni is impressing upon his players that they've gone through a tough season this year. It's not over yet, but they are a lot underclassmen on his team, and now is not time to quit the team, because next year you might see Greenport be good enough to win a few football games, and 2 years from now, with all the sophomores, they might even be a title contender in 2 years if the kids stick with it. And I'm sure he's going to say now is not the time to give up. They've worked hard, and I'm sure they're going to work hard for the rest of the season. And next year they might see the fruits of their labors.
Yeah, especially the players who have been on the team. You know, the seniors now who have played 4 years or 3 years on the varsity, who have had very little to celebrate in the way of victories. Though they still have to lead for the younger players and set the example for the younger players to follow, so that those players won't get discouraged and will stick to it. And as you say, hopefully be able to persevere till hopefully better times come.
Well, we're looking at some of that right now. Everett Corwin had been shaken up on a few plays before that with his leg, and now he came back out, and he ended up getting hurt again. So I'm not going to say he made the correct decision, but it's maybe something some of the underclassmen have to see, that here's a senior who knows his team.
What are they doing moving the markers around?
Know his team is not going to end up being champions, and yet he's out there giving his best.
Yeah, they are still attending to Corwin on the field, as you may be able to see. And they may need, and I see they're backing an ambulance onto the field, Colin, so that is definitely not a good sign. One good thing about it is that Mercy High School is located right next to Central Suffolk Hospital, so he won't have to go very far to get some more medical attention, or as much as he needs.
Well, it appears like Everett Corwin is conscious, so we saw him moving his hand. He was slapping the ground in pain, so we believe it's some sort of foot injury. I would believe it is, and that's nothing to sneeze at, but it doesn't appear to be something that's serious.
Well, let's see. I don't know if they're going to have to bring a stretcher out for him, and it appears that they might be. Unfortunately for myself, Colin, I had, when I was playing here, I had the misfortune to break my arm. Unfortunately, it was only during practice, not during a game, so in some respects, it wasn't actually on the field of battle, but anytime you suffer an injury, it can be certainly tough for a team to have to go through, and they were already short a few players tonight due to injury and suspension, so unfortunate that Everett Corwin is down with an injury right now, and we're not sure the extent of the injury. We can only hope it's not a serious one, but by the looks of it, it certainly isn't something that is going to enable him to stay in the game. And some nice sportsmanship on the Mercy side, as Corwin is helped to his feet, and perhaps a good sign. He's able to limp off somewhat the field, aided by some other people. But a nice round of applause for Corwin. Certainly one can appreciate his effort, even though it's been in a losing cause. He, along with a number of other players on the Porters, have been out here giving it their best shot, and unfortunately for Corwin, he's probably going to be through for the night, certainly, and let's hope that's all it is. Well, we're just in the early moments of the fourth quarter here. Mercy is holding a 20-0 lead. They had just scored an apparent touchdown on a run by Frank Sammartino, number 42. But now a penalty flag was down against the Monarchs, and let's see what the officials do as they sort this out.
I believe it was a clip, and I think the party that was clipped was Everett Corwin.
Well, that would certainly be at least an educated guess on our part, but in any event, Mercy is going to be penalized here, so that touchdown will be negated.
Yeah, they have pulled the ambulance off the field, and it appears like Everett Corwin may not be going to the hospital right now. Not right now, anyway. He's on the Greenport bench.
Okay, well, that's certainly good news. It's going to be second down and 4 for Mercy from their own 22-yard line. Handoff, Sammartino off the left side, bounces off a few tacklers, gets down close to first down yardage. And they are signaling it is a first down. Sammartino, Colin, running with a lot of aggression. He finds the hole and runs for all he's worth through it.
We hear now that Everett Cohen might have a torn calf muscle, Ed. And right now, Greenport is getting into a little arm tackling on the outside.
First down for Mercy from the Greenport 17. Hand off this way. Sammartino, if he gets around the corner, and he does, will go in for a Mercy touchdown. Frank Sammartino, much like the play he ran in just a few moments ago, Colin, that was called back because of a penalty. He was able to outrun the Porter defense, and probably a tired Porter defense, and a bit of a discouraged and frustrated Porter defense to the corner, and run it in, making the score 26-0 in favor of the Monarchs.
Mercy's had some good downfield blocking on those plays, and they're delaying the Greenport defenders long enough for Sammartino to get to the outside. He has a lot of quickness on the outside.
And Paul Devereaux's extra point kick is good. So we have a timeout on the field with the score Mercy 27, Greenport South Hall Mattituck 0. We'll be back in a moment.
27, Porters, 0.
Back at Mercy High School. This is Dimension Cable's high school football game of the week on Channel 25 Conic Bay Television. I am Ed Zabrowski here with Colin Gratton. We're in the fourth quarter of play. Mercy holding a commanding 27-0 lead over Greenport South Hall Mattituck. Mercy just kicking off after the touchdown by Sammartino. That was 33 Ryan Quayle running that kick back over the Porter 35-yard line. It's going to be a first down at their own 37. And let's see, number 9 at quarterback, Colin, Brian Pruitt for the Porters, replacing Corwin. He's a sophomore. I'm not sure if he's had a lot of game experience this year. Chances are this might be have been his first varsity snap right there, as Corwin, I'm sure, has played all the time as long as he's been healthy. And that was Strickland with a little run off the left side for a couple of yards.
Yeah, it's not easy for Pruitt coming in here on a Friday night game here at Mercy. I'd say there's probably anywhere from 750 to 1,000 people here tonight, so...
Well, he's got nothing to lose at this point, Colin. The game is pretty well out of hand as far as the outcome goes, and give him a little game experience and get him ready for next year when he might be one of the possible starters. Strickland off the left side, another fellow that the Porters are going to be looking for in the future. Made a nice cut upfield. Gained about 6 yards. Is going to bring up a third down and call it about 2 yards to go.
Coming in for Brian Barry, number 27, and Sean Mahoney, number 30.
You have that story.
Third and 2 for the Porters from their own 45-yard line. Handoff, Strickland off the right side. It's going to depend on where the ball's marked. He's going to be very close.
John O'Brien.
That was number 11, John O'Brien, on the tackle for the Monarchs, and they are giving him a first down without a measurement.
Yeah, Mercy is now giving some of the players that normally don't see a lot of action the opportunity to play with this 27-0 lead here in the fourth quarter.
First down for the Porters from their own 47-yard line. Pruitt pitched Strickland off the left side, I should say the right side, and goes ahead as he crosses midfield for close to 5 yards.
And yeah, we should say that there are other games in the area tomorrow. With being the last game of the regular season, the playoffs coming up, they all have a lot of importance, particularly West Hampton and Miller Place tomorrow in West Hampton. Whoever wins that will win at least a share of the league title. And,
right. By the time this is telecast, the outcome of that game, of course, will be known. As I was mentioned during halftime too, Colin, West Hampton Beach probably will only the best be able to get a tie for first, and they've had a real good season, and certainly that'll be a nice reward for them. As Strickland is stacked up as he tries to go off the right side by a host of Monarchs.
At times, a little confusion in the backfield for Greenport. Pruitt turned to his left and then turned around completely and pitched out to his right to Strickland. So it was either Strickland or Pruitt that got a little mixed up on that play.
Yeah, Strickland is down on the ground. Perhaps it's a leg cramp or something. They were looking at his leg and stretching it out a bit. He might have just pulled a muscle, perhaps, but let's see.
There's an injured case on the field.
Coaching staff is out taking a look at Strickland. While they do that, Colin, as you mentioned, some games tomorrow that are going to have some bearing on the playoff matchups for the following week. We hope to be able to cover some of that action for you. We're not really sure at this point. We won't really know till we get into this week, so hopefully next week we'll have some more football action for you. We're not sure where yet, but we'll be someplace.
Of course, down in Hampton Bays, the Baymen would like to spring a surprise on John Glenn. That's not going to be an easy chore. The Knights have had not an easy time of it in League 8, but they've really kind of dominated. I don't think they've had any closer game than 22-7 so far. But maybe the Baymen will have something for him tomorrow.
Third down for midfield. Billy Cart trying to go around the left side. That was 70, Justin Nigel, who has played also a good defensive game for the Monarchs, in on that tackle along with several other Mercy players.
And also, Riverhead will be traveling to Harborfields tomorrow, and they will want to get back into the winning ways before the playoffs start. And of course, if Riverhead loses that, they would have to end up probably playing Comstock, the League 5 champion, in the first round. And I don't think they'll want to try to beat Comstock twice up there in 2 years.
Yeah, you think Comstock might remember their game from last year, Colin, perhaps?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Fifield back to punt for the Porters. Tom Spina takes it at his own 20, comes to the near side, uses his block nicely, gets to the sideline, breaks several tackles. Nice effort by Spina as he's finally tackled by 57, Ingmar Lara. But Spina showing some good aggression, Colin, as he broke several tackles on that run back.
Appears to be another clip, though, by Mercy on that play. And I know right now Sal Bendigni on the Greenport sideline is just hoping this game gets over before any more of his players are getting hurt. They've already lost Corwin with an injury that appears might be even could sideline him for the rest of the season. And Strickland was shaken up there, and Greenport will be going with almost I don't know what a practice team out there. But in a way, it might not hurt because some of the kids that haven't had any experience will be getting some playing experience.
It's true. This is certainly the time where you'll be using a lot of your players. Of course, sometimes you're using a lot of them already on the field, and you don't really have a lot of options as far as who to replace who with. But you put them out there, and you hope they give their best effort, and that's all you can expect from many of your players. There's a timeout on the field at the moment. About midway through this fourth quarter, Mercy holding a 27-0 lead. I guess one thing Mercy has to start considering now, Coach Tony Antonucci has to be thinking, does he want to call heads or tails? Being this coin flip is going to be coming up after the game, and hopefully we'll be able to give you word of that before we go off the air tonight. And I'm not even sure how that works, or who calls it, so he may not even have a decision to that, because Ted Meyer, the East Hampton coach, is also in attendance here at the game tonight for just such an occurrence, and they're going to have the coin flip after the game in the privacy of the coaches area. I tried to ask them if they do it out here in front of our cameras, which would have made it interesting, but they said they had to keep it behind closed doors, so we're going to have to wait and see how that works out. But certainly it's unfortunate in a way that a playoff spot has to be decided by the flip of a coin for whichever team gets it. Of course, is going to be elated, but the other team is going to feel a bit disappointed that the berth wasn't decided on the field.
In a way, though, Ed, the berth was decided on the field. Those two teams played each other and it ended up 7-7.
In at quarterback for the Monarchs now is number 19, Craig Ruprecht. And yes, you guessed it right, he is the brother of Mark Ruprecht. He's only a sophomore, so a good chance, being that Ed Voles will be graduating this year, Colin, that he could be the starting quarterback for the Monarchs next year. And we have the signal from the officials that there is 4 minutes left in the contest. Mercy just hopefully be content to run out the remaining time here and take their well-earned victory. Devereaux, and the ball is loose as Devereaux was trying to make some additional yardage. Porters have the ball and running it down the field, and this may at least enable the Porters to get on the scoreboard, possibly, Colin. Let's see if we can pick out who the player was that picked up that ball. It appeared to be 22, Jamie Fifield, Colin, as a Greenport tackler stripped Devereaux that ball as it bounced back towards the Monarch goal, picked up by Fifield, who advanced the ball down to just inside the 10-yard line at about the 9, and the Porters have their best field position of the day, Colin, and can get on the scoreboard and spoil this shutout that the Monarchs are working on.
Yeah, it might do good, real good for Greenport's morale in practice if they would be able to get a score up here before the game ends.
Big test for Brian Pruitt, number 9, the quarterback, too, to see what he can do. Strickland gets the ball on this side, breaks one tackler, but then he's snowed under by 3 or 4 Monarchs. Number 70, Justin Nigel, is in there.
Dave, if they go anymore, I'm going to be in my post.
Along with several other Monarchs.
And at that time it was Greg Cook coming through to make the tackle on the pitch.
Off this way to Quayle, gets around the corner, and he goes in for a touchdown. Number 33, Ryan Quayle, on a little counter play, gets to the near side, goes down into the end zone. I'm not sure if we had that on camera for you or not. From the corner of the end zone that they're in, it's a little difficult for us to film with some of the posts up here in the booth, but take my word for it, Greenport did score on the play, and I'm sure that has to bring at least a little smile to the face of some of the Porter players and their supporters. And they'll probably go for 2 points here, or they're going to kick it. Well, it looks like they will kick it, as Quayle will attempt a placement with Pruitt as the holder. I think Corwin would normally be the holder, except that, of course, he's injured, so this may have some effect on this. We're not sure. Kick is down, and it's a low kick anyway, but blocked by the Monarchs. I don't think that would have had much of a chance anyway, Colin, as I don't believe you can run this back, even though the Monarchs think they can. For whatever reason, that's number 11, John O'Brien, running the ball down the field and making a little bit of, I don't want to say a fool of himself, but certainly should have been aware that a placement is not, you're not able to run back an extra point to the other end zone. and it's going to cost the Monarchs a few yards for probably unsportsmanlike conduct, as well as a flag was thrown as he ran down the field. But of course, you can always say he ran into the end zone, whether it counts or not.
I guess it's a judgment call, but it appeared to me that he was definitely confused as to whether he could run it back, and I don't think that was an attempt at hot-dogging.
He's confused. He just doesn't know.
But evidently the ref thought otherwise, and he flagged him. I didn't think that was necessary.
Yeah, well, it's certainly not going to affect the outcome of the game, but certainly they always tell you, too, if you're in doubt, just do it and then find out afterwards. So I guess in his haste to do that, he probably, maybe he thought it was a field goal attempt instead of an extra point try. That's about all I could think of. But needless to say, score is now Mercy 27 and Greenport Southold Manitouk 6. We have just a few minutes left in the game here. I don't know if the Porters will try an onside kick. They might as well. They had nothing to lose, really. So Quayle will do the kicking off for the Porters, and let's see what they come up with.
We're too far back. We're too far back. Look at it.
A little confusion here among the Porters as to who should be on the field. I see number 88, David Brigham, isn't sure if he should be on the field. I guess he was on the Monarch sideline here, Colin, on the bench with the Monarch players almost. And he came back on the field, finally found a spot to go to. They do kick deep. Kickoff is taken by Voles, number 12, and he just looks for a place to fall down, which I don't blame him. At this point in the game, actually, he probably shouldn't have even probably been in there if they just wanted to do that. But I guess they wanted somebody back there with some good hands so they wouldn't have to worry about a fumble. And Voles was content just to take the ball and fall down with it. No reason to get injured at this point in the game. Monarchs take over on their own 24-yard line with the first down.
Like you said, Ed, this sets up Mercy for the coin toss with East Hampton to determine which one of those teams will go into the playoffs.
Right, and then the other team, of course, any team that does not make the playoffs will still be able to play 2 more games. They just won't be part of the county playoffs. All the teams that don't make the playoffs find some opponent to play with, and they will still play 2 more games, regardless of whether they make the playoffs. But of course, they would like to make the playoffs and at least have a chance to, shine and have some make a good account of themselves in the county playoffs.
And there it is, Ed.
And there it is as the referee holds the ball aloft overhead, which signals the end of the game. And the players come on the field to congratulate one another. And at least, Colin, the Porters were able to get a touchdown on the scoreboard and avoid the shutout. And now the players will shake hands on the field. Good sign of sportsmanship. So it's a successful homecoming game for the Monarchs as they come away with a 27-6 victory over Greenport Southold Manitouk. As you watch the players, each giving each other a handshake and wishing them good luck in their future games. Mercy hoping it'll be in the county playoffs. That has yet to be determined, as they are going to have a coin flip momentarily with East Hampton to decide which team goes into the playoffs and which team does not. So we're going to take a short break right now and be back in a moment with more, and hopefully with the outcome of the coin flip. So the final score was Mercy 27, Greenport Southold 6. This is Dimension Cable's high school football game of the week.
AD's office, and East Hampton was there, and we tossed the coin. They called tails, and it was tails, so they go to the playoffs.
Now, how do they decide who would call the coin toss?
The visiting team. The visiting team always has that courtesy, whether it's a game or, I guess, a playoff spot.
I know before the game I talked to you a little bit, and I know it wasn't something you really wanted to think about at the time as far as if it came down to a coin flip, because you wanted to make sure you won the game first. That was the first thing you had to do, and of course you did that in nice fashion. It has to be, I would say, a bit disappointing. Or how do you feel about having to have it decided by a coin toss?
I think this is the toughest thing all season, is to go in and after a great win like tonight, go in and tell these kids that they're not going to the playoffs. They knew it could happen. It's just like anything else. When you tell them that it's a fact, it hurt. There's no doubt about it. They had worked hard the last couple of weeks. They came back, and they felt they're as good as East Hampton. I still think we are, and I would like to play them again, but
sure.
Who knows? Maybe down the road in 2 weeks, if things work out right, maybe we can get a game with them.
You did, of course, play them during the regular season here on this field where you got a 7-7 tie. I'm sure a game in which both sides probably figured a break one way or the other, they could have won. But like you say, it's difficult for East Hampton or for you to have to turn and tell your players news like that when you can't really decide it on the field of play.
We have nobody to blame but ourselves. We were driving down for the winning, at least the winning field goal, and we have a kid that can really do a good job, Paul Devereaux, and we just got a stupid penalty, and it took us out of field goal range, and that we never got that chance.
Just a break.
So we have nobody, to point the finger at and say it's somebody's taking it away from us. We just didn't go out and earn it. And we've been in the playoffs before. We know what it takes to get there. And I thought we were a young team coming into the season. I said we're going to get better as this season goes on. We had a number of sophomores in key positions, and those are the breaks. Next year we have to earn it. Nobody gives you anything. So.
Well, that's sort of been proved out what you say about improving as the season went on. You started off with a few losses. Of course, as you like to do, I guess, take on some tough non-league opponents, and sometimes they can really put it to you, and sometimes, not. But you certainly took your lumps early in the season.
That's always been our philosophy here, that we want to play up early in the season and get better. Unfortunately, this year didn't work the way we wanted to. But like I said, there's no looking back. You can't make excuses. You can second guess yourself 1,000 times. Every play you call, every defense you call, they can score on. So, after 18 years, I try not to look back too much.
That's always good. Look ahead, because you look behind you, someone's probably gaining on you. They used to say too.
Right. Satchel Paige. Right?
That's right. Anybody on the team tonight? They played a very good game. You had a couple penalties at a few times that stalled your drives a few times, but your team was able to recover from those in fine fashion.
We went in at halftime up 13-0, and we felt a little bad for our sophomore, Jeff Dorosky, and we talked about being a family coming out, and he said, "Coach, give me the ball. I want the ball. I want to score." And I thought, fine, and I said to the team, we're going to drive down, and Jeff's going to get that ball, and we're going to show people that Jeff Dorosky is a real good running back, which he is. He's only a sophomore, and he takes a pounding every week, and he's done a lot for us. And if you're a family, in the way we preach it, we're a family. And he came, and I couldn't believe it, the first play. He was crying inside just now, and he thanked the coaches and the team for giving him the blocking. Now, we have a pretty good rivalry with Riverhead, and some of their players were in the stands, and Jeff comes from around this area, and they were giving him a hard time, and that's a quick way to shut him up, so we're real happy about that.
Well, it seemed he was having a little problem with his footing early on. He didn't change his shoes or anything, did he?
No,
because it seemed that way. His footing was so good.
We had a professional team come in, and they cut the grass to within 1 inch and thatched it this morning for homecoming, and the sisters were nice enough to do that, but I'm not sure it worked to our benefit.
And it was a very similar play to one he had been running, in which he had been either stalling or something. And once he found the opening, he had the speed. He just took off.
I think it just was a matter of him saying, "I'm going to do it," and I think we've turned the corner with him. Still, he's only a sophomore.
Sure.
He's a good sophomore.
2 more years you have him.
And the future looks bright with him. And I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the team, the seniors. This was homecoming, and they had a great night. So we're going to go inside now, and I guess and enjoy a little bit. We did earn it, so it's not the end of the world. We didn't make the playoffs. We're disappointed, but
and you do have more football ahead of you somewhere the next few weeks.
Yeah, we got 2 more games.
2 more wins possibly.
Two more wins, and then we have to go out and earn it. And if that happens, I'm happy. That's the best. I told the kids, if that's what has been dealt to us, let's take it. Let's be happy. Okay, we're all healthy. Let's go after them. And that's just not just words. We believe in that here, and we'll take the best we can. If the best can be 2 more W's, we're going to go out and try to earn them. Nothing comes easy.
Well, certainly a good philosophy for any team. We'd like to thank you very much, Coach, for taking a few minutes out of your time.
Thank you guys for the time you guys put in.
It's not the happiest of times to right at the moment, but as you say, you got to look ahead and not back. So good luck to you in your remaining games.
At least we had a flip of the coin. At least we had something to hope for. So
you should ask for 2 out of 3 maybe or something, if that would have helped anyway.
5 out of 6. Okay.
Anyway, thanks, Coach, and we're going to take a short break and be back to wrap it up right after this. All right, back at Mercy High School to wrap this game up, Colin, and Some nice words from Coach Antonucci there as far as his players go and such. And I'm sure it had to be a tough thing to win a game and to be in a position where you equally qualify in many respects to go to the playoffs, and then having a heads or tails call on a coin flip decided. I guess the only worst thing would have been if they were deciding the league championship, and that was how they decided it.
Well, with this short season that they started last year, these type of things happen, you know, when you're only playing like 4 or 5 league games. And you know, it was funny. We went into the locker room to find out if they'd had the coin toss already, and they'd already had it, and it seemed like they'd had it a while right after the game. And
like they were in a hurry to get it done with or something.
There's no big preparation. They just walk in, they you know, they flip the coin, and in a way that seems to be unfair to the kids. But like we'd said, these two teams played each other here on this field a few weeks ago, and it ended up a 7-7 tie. So they did have the opportunity to prove on the field which team was the better team, and nobody could end up on top. So East Hampton ends up going towards the playoffs. And I think if you're looking at it from League 8 and the pride of League 8, I think East Hampton might have a better chance of doing something in the playoffs because they are the bigger team. They are, and that might help them against the teams in League 7, which for the most part are bigger than the ones in League 8.
I noticed you made sure you said that after the coach left, though. So
I didn't say anything wrong.
He's out of arm's reach here, but you make some possible good points there. But certainly they played on the field equally, and we'll see who East Hampton's going to draw. Even we're not really sure who that's going to be yet as far as the playoffs go. But I'm sure Coach Ted Meyer and his team will very happily go into the playoffs and do the best they can and see what happens. Mercy, on the other hand, will, as we mentioned, have a couple more games, possibly playing Hampton Bays next week. They're not really sure yet. Depends on how some of the other games go tomorrow and such as we tape this. But we'll just have to wait and see. Tonight's game, Mercy came out really good. They scored early on with a nice drive, a couple of drives. They had a fumble that did Dorosky, who fumbled, and then later on ran for a touchdown. He had some trying first half, but he came on in the second half and really displayed some good running. Frank Sammartino also ran very well for the Monarchs. Those two players, with a little bit of Paul Devereaux thrown in, did the bulk of the ground gaining for the Monarchs, and they really were able to control the line of scrimmage for the most part. And as in many games, you control the line of scrimmage, and it pretty much gives you the edge.
Well, Mercy had to be considered the favorite coming in, and they moved the ball well right from the start, but they weren't able to put it in the end zone for a little while. Greenport had to be happy. Their running game was working a little bit. They weren't opening up any big holes, but they did gain a couple of first downs in the first quarter. And as the game moved on, it seemed to be a fast game, and Greenport, I think, had to be happy. And then suddenly Mercy did score, ended up scoring twice before the half was over. And I think Greenport was fairly dejected. And of course, Jeff Dorosky, I should say, first play from scrimmage of the second half, he goes 59 yards for a touchdown, and that pretty much sealed it right there.
Yeah, that to me was really the biggest play of the game, because they still win at 13-0 with a chance, and they come out the first play and rip another touchdown run to the end zone. It really has to take a lot of the heart out of the team. A team that was already playing without some of their starters, and Corwin, of course, got injured, as you mentioned, later in the game, and hopefully it's not a serious one and he'll be back in the near future, but it's hard to tell on something like that. But the coaching staff, Sal Vendigny, Dick Herzog, know they have a couple more games left, hopefully, and maybe they can find somebody that they can beat, which would certainly be nice for the seniors to be able to get a victory in their last year of football at Greenport.
Well, I think over the last few years, Greenport has had a hard time, as compared to the teams of the long ago past. Not so long ago, 15, 20 years ago, when they put out good teams year after year. And again, they have some good underclassmen this year. They have some potential, but they've had that in the past few years, and it seems like some of their players fall by the wayside because losing is not easy.
Sure.
And I'm sure, again, the thought is in Greenport for the kids to tough it out, because they do have ability. And maybe next year, maybe the year after, with all the sophomores they have in the team, they'll have a good club. And we should mention our players of the week.
Sure, this might be a good time to do that before the tape runs out and we get cut off, maybe. We do have our Player of the Week award to give out now that Dimension Cable hands out when we do these games, and they are given to us through the courtesy of Skidmore's Sports and Styles in Hampton Bays. And as far as tonight's game go, I guess on the Mercy side, we've decided we're going to give it to Frank Sammartino, who had a very good game rushing. Didn't have maybe the big gains, particularly the one big gain that Jeff Dorosky had, but he had a lot of little gains and a lot of 5, 6, 7-yard gains, 8-yard gains that added up to a lot of yardage. And he also played well defensively, we thought, saw it well enough that we decided to make him our player of the game for Mercy. On the Greenport South Hall Mattuck side, we decided that Everett Corwin will be our player of the game for them. He did not figure in their touchdown, but he was on the field for playing both ways most of the game. He did have an interception, and pretty much whatever they did offensively, aside from Derek Strickland, who also had some nice runs, Corwin was involved in. So we're going to give Everett Corwin our player of the game award for Greenport South Hall Mattuck. And now, as far as our future goes, we hope to be back on the air next week with a playoff game, we hope. And if not, perhaps we'll be covering one of the other teams that did not make the playoffs. We're not really sure at this juncture, but we'll know in the coming week, and we'll have to see how that goes. And so that'll about do it here from Mercy High School. This has been Dimension Cable's High School Football Game of the Week, coming to you over Channel 25. We come your way, as I might as well throw a plug in here, at 7:30 on Tuesday evenings with the rebroadcast, and then another rebroadcast of that Thursday afternoons at 2:30. So we hope you'll be with us every week. Speaking for Colin Gratton, I am Ed Zabrowski saying goodbye from Mercy High School, where the final score was Mercy 27, Greenport South Hall Mattuck 6. See you soon.